that will mark this year's edition of the Multi-TV Habitat Fair. Honorable Deputy Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this year's event is unique. Unique in the sense that all other platforms that we see will offer a few days or a week of an event. This time round, the Multi-TV Habitat Fair has decided to do different locations to ensure that the good news and all of the quality available that we've assembled is accessible to as many people as possible in this country. I think the team at Multi-TV and the Multimedia Group have done a great job, and they deserve a big round of applause ahead of time. I'd like to inform all of you as well that we're live on the Joy News channel on Multi-TV, also on channel 421 on DSTV. Would also like to say a very big thank you to our very big supporters for this event. We'd like to say a very big thank you to M&C Property. Shall we put our hands together for them? Also sponsoring this year's Multi-TV Habitat Fair are Sethi Realty, JL Properties, Spong Limited. Let's appreciate them with a big round. Before we start off, I'd like to pay respects to our guests seated at the top table. I'll begin from the extreme end, and I'm grateful and glad to acknowledge the presence of a director of M&C Properties, Mr. Eric Cody. Please put your hands together for him. We thank you very much, Mr. Eric Cody, of your team, and it is our hope that yourself and the whole team great initiatives such as the Multi-TV Fair. I'll jump one place and go over to the CEO of T Limited, who is a long-time supporter of the Multi-TV Habitat. Please put your hands together for him. The next, ladies and gentlemen, is the head at Multi-TV who are putting together this whole. The is responsible for bringing you the big concepts and the ideas. Mr. Bukak, right here, the
facilities from a single. The difficulty homes. How acquisition through
Honorable Deputy Minister, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, like I mentioned earlier, we've got a chain of events, as has been very ably amplified. I'd like to go over them once again. So it starts off with the very first one on the 24th and 25th of June at the Achimota Mall. And then also there's another one on the 29th and the 30th at the West Hills Mall. And then also on 27th to 29th of October, we move over to the Garden City in Kumasi at their mall. Of course, the main event happens between the 11th and 13th of August at the Accra International Conference Center. Another reminder that we're live on the Joy News channel on Multi TV and also streaming live on channel 421 on DSTV. My pleasure now to introduce to all of us for his address a fine gentleman who is trained in the United Kingdom. He initially started in the field of law, and this he practiced for 16 years before being called to the bar here in his homeland, Ghana. While for issues and processes in the housing industry, the reason why he decided to specialize in that area. For long years, he was able to specialize in that area, and gradually he's established himself. Ladies and gentlemen, one of his main strategies is to help to develop and harness the core values, which are the principles from that foundations, dealing with clients in this specialized area. With a very big round of applause, please help me to welcome Godwin Ejejemfi, the CEO of Sethi Realty Limited.
Warm greetings to you, Honorable Deputy Minister. Greetings to you, invited special guests, and all protocols observed. Now, whilst making my way here, I decided to do a little research on the Habitat Fair. I discovered that the Habitat Fair is one of its kind in the entire Africa, the entire continent. It is the only fair that puts at the heart of its objective to educate people on housing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, nothing is more important in any civilized country than education, hospital, and guess what? Housing. Now, one of the functions of this fair is to bring together all the specialists in terms of providing affordable housing. So, for that note, this is a very special event, and I will encourage everybody observing to actually attend. Now, I'll say a little bit about the importance of housing. Now, the global demand for housing has increased over the years. And according to research, it will continue to increase. Now, what does this mean for Ghana? According to the Ministry of Water, Ministry of Water, Works and Housing report, 1.7 million at the close of 2016. Now, the 1.7 million housing deficit in Ghana is not simply a revelation of serious crisis of housing, but also a deficit of peace, deficit of effort, and a deficit of human dignity. And the importance of this fair is to educate people on how to bring down or eradicate, if I may say so, this deficit. Now, we in Sethi Realty, we don't just want to provide a roof over your head supported with four corners or four walls, but we want to go further, provide people with quality building, as indicated by the Master of Ceremonies. So, without further ado, I will entreat you all to please make a concerted effort to attend the entire program. Thank you very much.
We say thank you very much to you too, Mr. Godwin Ejejemfi. He's the CEO of Sethi Realty. Remember, Sethi Realty are a long-time supporter of the Multi-TV Habitat Fair. At this point, I would like to once again acknowledge the kind support of our headline sponsor, MNC Properties, also to our sponsors, Sethi Realty, JL Properties, and Caspong Limited. We say a very big thank you to all of you. It's now time for us to listen to the message from our headline sponsor. As this brand has grown bigger and bigger, goes wider around the country. And it's rather interesting to note that big brands within the country have also gone with a journey, as we've all been made aware once again of the fact that the housing deficit in this country is way in excess of 1 million. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd at this point like to tell you a little bit about MNC, who are a great member of the MNC Group. And of course, MNC Properties has products who have reverence for quality. Like I said, quality is the big common denominator in all of this we're doing. So they specialize in the sale and rental and leasing of properties, and they manage properties for their clients and refurbish dilapidated ones as well, and bring them to standard, and also specialize in cleaning of high-rise buildings. There are many islands in the world. It creates a rather unpleasant sight, and this is where MNC Properties come very well recommended. They also represent the Tiger Group, which is a leading real estate developer in the United Arab Emirates, which is a globe for housing development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to bring up here a director. And of course, his name is Mr. Eric Cody. Please put your hands together as we welcome him.
Thank you very much. Honorable Deputy Minister, Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today marks a milestone in the business deliberations of MNC Group, playing the role as the headline sponsor for this important event, consequently named MNC Properties Multi-TV Habitat Fair 2017. This is an occasion to buttress the minds and intentions of progressive thinkers and executors who cherish the idea of decent living, brazen to bring about existence of ensuring happy and healthy life. MNC Properties is a young company with big aspirations and long tentacles in the property industry. Our products cover management, sale, rental, refurbishment, and leasehold of properties. We collaborate with the best in the housing industry to provide decent accommodation to our clients who prefer to be associated with quality. We have properties in Dubai for sale to our clients and extended to those who are ready to explore luxury. Everyone here can afford it, so I encourage you to start making your budget to accommodate the purchase of Al Jawara apartments in Dubai. Anyway, I wish you a goodbye. Now to the main business. The theme, affordable housing and renewable energy, is a well-chosen theme, which gives me a good opportunity on a platform like this to highlight some pertinent issues in our lives as a people. Issues which have been militated against have to do with housing and its affordability. But they are most times approached with a perception that is detrimental to deserving majorities' interest. Both affordable housing and renewable energy projects have either been inhibited or lackadaisically pursued, thereby losing the serious touch with which it should have been handled. Affordable housing term used in government circles to an appreciable level to particular classes of people for ownership of housing properties, identified as those who need a place to lay their heads but lack the means to buy and pay. We all know that. We all know what the result has been. An affordable house has never been affordable to those who need it. Disappointingly, the situation has not seen any favors for such classes of people. So MNC Group has brought MNC Properties on board to fill the vacuum and assure that since housing is vital to every human being, the desire to own one burns in almost everybody. So this event comes with an opportunity to make a decision after knowing what MNC Properties, in collaboration with Tiger Group and Austin, will install. MNC Group, representing Tiger Group, the third leading real estate developers in the United Arab Emirates, has the penchant to make affordable housing really affordable, but only to those who deserve it. Tiger Group produces almost all the materials that they use in their constructional activities, from in-house by their trained engineers who have made consistent research and come out with materials conducive to the structures that they churn out. It is the best way of exploiting physics, and this is a practice that is worthy of emulation in a country like ours. Tiger Group has installations rising to 76 stories, the highest for now. They are still thinking of going high. And they are all constructed by in-house engineers. Governments, since the past 25 years or so, have not been able to make affordable housing affordable to deserving people because of the kind of approach many have spoken about with a pinch of salt. It is therefore not relevant for this forum, which is seeking to improve the trend or change it to take any of the time. I would like to say that even if the scenario is having to do with politics, let us all remind ourselves that each and every one of us who offers a support to any political divide sleeps and wakes up from under a roof to lend that support. So we all have a responsibility to ensure that there is decency in the livelihood. MNC Property is riding on the wings of MNC Group to write history. In order to have it done with accuracy, it has also collaborated with Austin Heat, Ventilation, and Air Conditioning, a leading company in Germany which manufactures air conditioners of various types to provide luxury in all the installations that will be constructed by Tiger Group in Ghana. Austin has various types of air conditioning apparatus to cool the atmosphere that may surround anybody. The authenticity of Austin products is assured without blemish. I would like to recommend that in order for affordable housing to be made affordable, real estate developers must have a consortium to deliberate on materials that could be used. They could offer themselves for exposure to modern materials and techniques in the building industry and not limit themselves to cement and block structures, which are increasingly becoming much more expensive inputs and not appropriate in affordable housing. We move to renewable energy. Energy is an unavoidable, unabatable, and integral part of development. It cuts across in providing the required power for domestic and commercial use. Renewable energy, when mentioned, brings to mind the process of using other means of power apart from hydro to generate electricity. I will refer to this as a field of expertise that has to be at the doorstep of the engineers who were taught physics, which introduced them to engineering situations. However, it is sad and not encouraging to assert that Ghana is lagging behind and becoming bereft of initiators to launch into the invention world. I'm not trying to downplay on anybody's integrity or to abase any engineer, but I consider this as an edge to waking them up to the role that has been their prerogative. And they are in a special class of their own. Some few engineers have tried their hands on certain things to introduce ideas into the system to augment the supply of electric power. These efforts have been defeated, and bureaucracy has rendered most of such efforts time-wasting and impedimental. It has also rendered it detrimental to survival. I quite remember one of such inventors in the person of Mr. Gideon Kojo Ajari, the inventor of regenerative energy alternative power, who had an opportunity to meet Professor Mills of blessed memory. Unfortunately, Mr. Ajari's dream of being given an opportunity to blossom in his ability was short-lived by the untimely death of Professor Mills. Today, I have on record that his personal efforts are giving him an opportunity to produce 1 megawatt of power for a company in the Free Zones Enclave in this country. I'm also proud to tell you that his prototype is in a developed country like Germany. Let's give him a short applause in absentia. He's a locally bred engineer who should be recognized and encouraged. I don't think we are doing ourselves any good. Really, background and lamenting in the midst of plenty. A second case in point is that of one marine engineer, Mr. Raphael Afodwanyi, who has been knocking on the doors for attention to introduce alternative energy source by name Ramadak Independent Power Plant. But God to be unconcerned over his prowess. He still has his idea waiting for an olive palm. So anyone here who wants to help Mr. A lot of propositions for sources such as inverters, windmills, solar, generating sets, mentioning just a few, to generate power have been made and being used. But I still believe that our engineers would have to come out with the most affordable one that will be cost effective. I know they can. Honorable Mr. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope all of us here gathered here will buttress the point that no carpenter had a hand in the invention of any of the power generating plants. I'm sure we all know. And so I believe that all here will agree with me also that they all stem from the brains of somebody scientifically endowed to bring them into being. So if a carpenter is creating furniture for the engineer, a mason is building a structure for the engineer, I pause to ask, is the engineer thinking of at least how best to make the work of these experts easy in their endeavors? My admonition is that our engineers should task posterity. Posterity is waiting to assess them. It is not a curse in a way. They are not to forget that their endeavors will be judged on what they leave for generations. In the meantime, my wish is that government should throw a challenge to confident engineers, in quotes, who would accept that challenge and stand out to be counted. I further wish that government sets up a consortium of engineers, those who think they have power generating ideas to develop independent power plants. Such a consortium must have the prerogative over their reward. It's important, and that must not be compromised or interfered with, because they need to put on the. Their term of reference must be to bring about a cheap, independent power supply, divorced from the national grid. Interestingly, that will be a source of encouragement to initiators have to rely on electricity. I will volunteer to be the consultant for this project. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, a zero-fuel power generating plant that the world has never seen or heard before is in the offing. It will be launched in collaboration with MNC Group very soon. Also, plans to install independent power plants of any magnitude to power the installations of Tiger Group and Austin are on the drawing board. The time when solar systems and inverters are displayed at our fairs should be over. They are not the only renewable energy sources that we need to know about. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I'm fully aware that I have bored you with a very long presentation. Pardon me if I did. It is just that decades in delivery to cool your life in the choice of class are with Tiger Group, Austin,